Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're taking on a mission that, well, it might sound intensely personal on the surface, but we believe it holds some really universal lessons for, anyone trying to achieve ambitious goals. We're zooming in on this single, highly detailed personal review from week 50, 2025.
That's right. And this isn't just a diary. You have to see it as a meticulously compiled data set.
Exactly.
The person tracks their life across these two major pillars, health and wellness and projects and hobbies. And for most of us, when goals slip, it's just a messy blur.
Right. You just feel bad about it.
You just feel bad, yeah. But when you track it this closely, that inconsistency becomes a clear, actionable roadmap.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to really act as your guides through this data. We're looking for the so what in the numbers, especially because this review captures a period of high friction.
A lot of friction. Trying to learn something really technical while managing a physical injury that's just flared up.
And I think if we look at the big picture, the core insight we're hunting for is how health serves as that essential, non-negotiable foundation.
It's not a hobby you slot in when you have time. It's the engine. It dictates your energy, your mental clarity, and ultimately your ability to execute on anything else.
Okay, so let's unpack that tension we see right away.
Let's do it.
Let's jump straight into that consistency challenge, starting with sleep. It's the bedrock of performance, right? But diving into the health and wellness numbers, the top-line sleep data, it doesn't look terrible at first glance.
No, it creates a false sense of security. The daily average total sleep, it fell back a little bit, landed at 6.71 hours, down from 7.0 the week before.
Which, okay, is a small drop. But you're saying that masks something bigger.
It masks a truly disruptive trend in the flow of that sleep.
And this is where the tracking really pays off. The source clearly logs that their bedtime trend fluctuated wildly. We're talking by 3 full hours across the week.
3 hours? That is just asking for circadian misalignment. It almost guarantees that the sleep you are getting is fragmented, less restorative, even if the total number is close to 7 hours.
And they pinpoint a specific behavior that made it worse.
Yeah, that 1 hour late evening nap. It sounds strategic, right? I'll just get a little power nap. But it was ultimately detrimental.
Oh, so?
The review notes it interfered directly with the body's natural sleep drive. It pushed the real nighttime bedtime even later, which then cut down the overall quantity the next night. It's a classic case of borrowing from tomorrow's energy.
I'm struck by this because if you're pushing your bedtime back by 3 hours, how do you maintain any stability at all? Were they just suffering?
Well, this is what's fascinating. We see the confirmation of a universal recovery strategy. Yeah. Despite the chaos of the bedtime swing, the user managed to keep their waking time largely consistent.
Okay. The anchor.
That's the anchor. It's the single most effective strategy for regulating your internal body clock. That fixed waking time prevented the whole week from just completely derailing.
So adaptability is there, but the system is clearly stressed. Let's transition that biological tension over to diet and weight, where the data reveals, well, a volatile roller coaster.
Absolutely. If you only look at the start and end point, it looks great. A net loss of 0.5 kilograms, moving from 69.20 kilograms down to 68.70 kilograms. You could slap a gold star on that.
But hang on, are we being too harsh? I mean, a half kilo loss in a week is technically a win, right? So why are we calling it a reversal?
We have to look past that final number and examine the mean weight. That's a better indicator of what's really going on.
The volatility.
The volatility. That final weight of 68.7 kilograms was actually higher by half a kilo than the previous week's ending weight. And critically, the mean weight for the week jumped significantly, up to 68.94 kilograms from 68.31.
That mean weight tells the real story. It signifies several days of significant uncontrolled gain.
Exactly. A late week intervention just couldn't fully undo the damage. And the root cause, according to the review, is that classic behavioral slip.
Yeah.
The one that gets all of us after a tough day.
Late and large meals.
Specifically, substantial dinners around 9 or 10 p.m. for several days, plus more high-carb, fried, outside meals. You combine that with the wonky sleep and less activity, and you have the perfect storm for weight fluctuation.
It's that classic battle between ambition and execution, and the body pays the price late at night. The saving grace, though, seems to be a consistent baseline of simple cooking.
Oatmeals, cooked salads, soft-boiled eggs, miso noodle soup with vegetables. Those staples provide the stability when everything else is pushing you off track.
Moving on, and here's where it gets really interesting, because the exercise segment, it demonstrates a strategic, intentional adaptation, not a failure.
On the surface, the data looks like a missed objective. The average daily steps hit 5,859, so just below the 6,000 goal.
But this wasn't laziness. This lower average reflects a purposeful slowing down, a tactical retreat from the momentum of the previous week, where they were hitting almost 9,000 steps.
And that decision was driven entirely by the ongoing management of a relapsed knee and muscle injury. They chose recovery over volume.
That's the key.
And that shift in focus is crucial. Instead of just resting passively, the user dove into active learning. They're looking up anatomy, figuring out the recovery exercises. They knew they couldn't just push through, so they pivoted to fixing the hardware.
I'm really struck by the realization that came out of this. The discovery that prolonged incorrect posture, both sitting and standing, the way we just unconsciously move, can lead to these long-run chronic issues, especially as you get older.
The injury became a curriculum.
Yeah.
The strategy was conservative. Target selected muscles for recovery. Use the sporadic pain as a teaching moment, as motivation. And they explicitly rejected just relying on medication to mask symptoms.
Instead, they're planning and organizing these daily structural exercises to mitigate the pain and speed up genuine long-term healing.
It's true resilience, and they connect this physical recovery directly to mental discipline. They noted the injury was a perfect opportunity for practicing walking meditation.
Even indoors because of all the rain.
Right, while they were literally relearning how to walk and stand correctly.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's the intentional application of mindfulness during physical distress. They're integrating mental training with physical therapy.
And notice the state of mind. Despite the pain, the recorded mood remained stoic as usual. The internal discipline is holding steady even when the body is loudly protesting.
Okay, let's see if that same tension manifests in their pursuit of highly technical goals. The projects and hobbies pillar, which is clearly a high focus area.
Oh, the dedication here is intense, particularly in the technical skill building.
In writing, they're continuing a gardening series while also starting a brand new, very time-intensive series on learning the Haskell programming language.
And this week was the start of that deep dive, parts 1 through 4 of the Haskell curriculum.
So for our listeners who might not be deep in coding, Haskell is. It's a purely functional programming language. It's often described as mathematical, complex, a totally different mental model from what most commercial coders use. So why? Why undertake this massive mental workout now?
It's a long-standing personal goal, sure, but more importantly, this learning is necessary for a new pet project.
And why is that?
Because the best and most well-maintained libraries for that specific project exist exclusively within the Haskell ecosystem. It's a calculated, strategic choice.
That is a fundamental trade-off. That requires serious commitment. You're choosing the language with the superior tools for the end goal, even if it means a steeper learning curve than, say, Python.
And this raises an important question about programming language ecosystems, which the source analyzed critically. They observed that the core language features, how elegant the syntax is, how fast it runs, are often less important than the availability of well-maintained, batteries-included libraries.
That's a huge takeaway. The library is often more important than the language itself.
Yeah.
So what did they find when looking at alternatives?
In evaluating popular system programming alternatives, the user found a major vulnerability. Essential command line interface, or CLI libraries, were often missing from the standard course. Or worse, the most popular third-party alternatives were either completely unmaintained or just unavailable. That presents a massive hidden risk.
That sounds like a security vulnerability waiting to happen, or just technical debt that's going to crush a project later on.
Precisely. You're trading immediate ease for long-term fragility. The user decided the functional robustness and the stability of the Haskell libraries were worth that initial mental investment.
And this reliance on stability led the user to project this whole finding into the future of code maintenance. This is where large language models, LLMs, come into the picture.
Yes, they introduce what I think is a revolutionary belief, that in the age of AI-assisted programming, LLMs will fundamentally eliminate the maintenance burden, not just for your code, but for the core language definition and its standard library.
Wait, let's pause on that. That's a massive statement about the future of development. If LLMs handle the boilerplate, the documentation, the patching, what does that free the developer up to do?
It shifts their focus entirely. Away from technical minutia, away from resource management. Instead of spending half their time debugging library conflicts, developers are freed up for higher-order architecture, defining business logic, solving novel problems.
And security.
And security. Essentially, LLMs become the ultimate, infinitely knowledgeable, battery-included function, it removes that historical barrier of choosing a less popular but technically superior language. It completely reframes the definition of development work.
That is a strategic insight born directly out of technical frustration. But back on the home front, that ambitious learning was not without sacrifice.
No, the trifecta of injury, necessary travel, and continuous rain force several trade-offs. Life always intervenes.
We see significantly less focus on gardening. Seed sowing is still pending. Photography was cut down, fewer field trips because of the knee injury and the rain.
But they adapted. They acquired plants for future propagation projects, traveled to local nurseries when they could. It kept the interest alive without stressing the knee.
And in fish keeping, they hit two specific problems that needed a fix.
Right. First, the parent fishes kept eating their own eggs, which highlighted the need to finally provide a better artificial cave.
Get that on the to-do list.
And second, the attempt to set up a community pond on the balcony failed because the cheap EPS foam box they used just leaked. A tangible, immediate failure from a material choice.
And that leads to a great little aha moment from the home improvement section. The accomplishment was finally fixing one of two leaking pipes in the front yard.
A small but impactful win.
And the key lesson learned here applies universally, not just to plumbing. Paying for quality materials matters, especially for things you use every day.
Quality materials withstand wear and tear far longer, reducing maintenance debt later. And that's a principle that applies to choosing Haskell libraries just as much as it applies to choosing PVC pipes.
Yet even with that strategic victory, we see the reality of the backlog. The pending tasks remain. Curtains, a drawer, grout work. It's a constant, relentless battle between maintenance, recovery, and advancement.
Which brings us right back to the synthesis of the entire review.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We saw this massive, impressive dedication to ambitious, long-term learning goals, diving deep into Haskell, developing an LLM-centric vision for code. But that contrasted sharply with the struggle for basic biological consistency. The volatile sleep, the diet leading to that mean weight fluctuation.
The review ultimately shows that recovery is not passive. It's not just lying down. It is active learning, studying anatomy, correcting posture, developing strategic retreats.
And it's an opportunity for mindfulness.
A crucial one, yeah, with the walking meditation, this connection between physical pain, forcing intentional movement, and mental discipline. That's maybe the most important takeaway for building long-term resilience.
You can't optimize the code if the hardware your body is failing due to inconsistency.
Exactly. And the user is actively seeking solutions to integrate that consistency. Which leads us to a final provocative thought for you. The source mentioned discovering several indoor exercises that are proven to be effective after a meal, especially dinner, things you can do in addition to gardening or house chores. Now, given the struggle with those late, large dinners that caused the weight trend reversal, the integration of light activity right after eating seems like a direct tactical attempt to mitigate those gains.
A proactive intervention against the big meal problem that doesn't rely on, a grueling gym session.
Right. So the question we leave you with is this. How could integrating these after-dinner movements, seamlessly connecting them with routine activities like house chores, simple wall sits, or that walking meditation, how could that fundamentally change the outcomes of your own health and weight goals?
It's about finding that frictionless way to move, even when you're injured or totally overloaded with other challenges. Until next time, keep optimizing.